People made thousands of dollars from the Linnea airdrop. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make money from crypto airdrops in 2025. On this channel, we've covered airdrops like Arbitrum, Cheeto, Hyperliquid, and Linnea months or even years before they happened. And hopefully we can look back in the future and say the same thing about this video, because today I'm covering the crypto protocols that have the highest potential for airdrops in the remainder of 2025. We'll look at the best opportunities for the remainder of the year and how to likely qualify for them. And the strategy that we're going to use today is that we're going to find crypto protocols that do not yet have tokens, but that are growing and have strong fundamentals, because those tend to be the most valuable airdrops, and even better if they have a points program. Because if you have a crypto application with a points program, they're signaling that they want to reward users in the future. And if they don't have a token yet, most likely they'll reward those users in the form of an airdrop. So if that sounds interested, stay tuned. Now let's get into it. To start, let's talk about what exactly an airdrop is and why a company would possibly give out tokens for free. Because when people hear about this, the first thing they think is there has to be some kind of catch. This has to be a scam, or there must be some sort of hidden risk, because nothing in life is free. And so let's talk about what exactly airdrops are. Basically, what airdrops are is when a crypto protocol first launches their token, they need to somehow get that token into the hands of the community. And one way you might do this would be through something like an ICO, an initial coin offering, an initial DEX offering, an IDO. Or what you might want to do is you may want to distribute it to your users, and you may do some combination of that. And when people choose to distribute some of their initial token allocation to users, that is what is an airdrop. And there's a few reasons why someone might choose to do this. First is if that token has any governance authority related to that protocol, then they're going to want people who are the biggest power users to actually have a stake in voting in that governance authority, because otherwise you don't end up with people who actually use, love, and understand the product voting on governance. Second reason is that it functions as a type of marketing budget. A lot of times people will expect that some sort of airdrop is coming, and so they use the protocol in advance. You saw this, for example, with Hyperliquid, which had a very successful points program that led to them being the largest decentralized perp exchange. And the reason that happened was in large part because people were expecting some sort of airdrop. So it's kind of like a deferred liquidity incentive in that sense, and it's a form of marketing. And sometimes that can be quite successful, and it can be quite lucrative for people that receive them. To name a few examples, we have Hyperliquid, whose airdrop was worth billions of dollars in total. We have Cato, whose airdrop was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's just a few within the past year. You can go back further and find others like Cheeto, like Arbitrum over the years, as well as dozens more. Many of which go more under the radar because they're not to as many people, but which still can be very lucrative to the people that receive them. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about where I see the best opportunities for airdrops in September 2025. And by the way, I made an article about this as well on my Substack. So if you prefer written medium, or you want to go back and reference this afterwards, check it out here. This gives most of the information that I'm going to talk about in this video in a concise step-by-step format. All right, so let's talk about the framework for the airdrops that I chose. I focused on airdrops that relate to narratives or ecosystems that have strong fundamentals. We're past the days of when you can just guess in crypto or throw a dart at the wall and anything's going to do well. There's too many tokens now, too many projects. You have to be a bit more strategic. And so what I chose to focus on is first the Hyperliquid ecosystem. This is starting to become a bit oversaturated, but I still think it's one of the best places to look simply because of the amount of money flowing into it. Hyperliquid is the leading perp exchange, and it's also one of the fastest growing layer ones. We can look at some stats surrounding it here, and we can see that the total value locked on Hyperliquid DeFi has grown from around 345 million in April to over $2.6 billion today. If you look at that in terms of the native token of the chain Hype, it's also growing. And then if you look at the volume of perps on Hyperliquid, you can see that those are extremely high and $100 billion plus some weeks. Perps, of course, being the flagship application of Hyperliquid. And I think this is really important. If you look at this stablecoin inflows, then you can see that there's just been this nice steady growth of stablecoins since the end of last year, growing from a couple billion up to over $6 billion today. And I've done lots of videos on the fundamentals of Hyperliquid before, but point being, this is one of the ecosystems that I'm going to focus on for airdrops. The next is the Ethena ecosystem. So Ethena stands out as having the third largest stablecoin, USDE, and it's the largest crypto native stablecoin. The two larger ones, USDC and USDT, being issued by centralized stablecoin issuers. Circle, which issues USDC, is actually a public company, so you can invest in it. But the reason I chose USDE, or Ethena rather, is that their TVL and stablecoin supply are growing significantly. TVL has grown from around $5.5 billion in July to more than double that at nearly $14 billion today. If we look at the market cap of their USDE stablecoin, you can see that it mirrors that TVL growth here. So their stablecoin supply has grown from around $5 or $6 billion to over $13 billion today. And stablecoins are one of the breakout uses of crypto. Recently we got regulatory clarity on it, and what I suspect is going to happen is that as the total stablecoin supply grows, it's been pretty consistently adding a few $1 billion a week, then you're naturally going to see some subset of those stablecoins will be crypto native, and Ethena is the leading one right now. And I think what's going to happen is that as the total stablecoin supply grows, currently it's consistently adding a few $1 billion a week, some market share of that will go to Ethena. In the past few months, they've actually been gaining market share in the stablecoin market, and so the project benefits. And fortunately for us, because the point of this video is airdrop farming, Ethena has its own ecosystem. That takes the form of two things. It takes the form of apps that are building using Ethena as a primitive, and it takes the form of apps that are building on Ethena's upcoming layer 1. So there are a few of those. And then the final trend that we want to bet on is the growth of perps. This here is perp volume, perps being a type of derivative, and you can see that over the past few years this has grown substantially. This is perps traded in DeFi, and Hyperliquid is a huge driver of that. However, if you go further down the list, you can find some of these tokens, some of these protocols without tokens, and so what we're going to do is we're going to look for protocols without tokens, and I think that can be a good opportunity as well. All right, so to start, let's look at a few opportunities on Hyperliquid. And I've covered these before in previous videos, but I'm going to highlight a couple that stand out for September 2025 in this video. First of these is Kinetic. If you don't have any exposure to this within Hyperliquid and you're trying to airdrop farm, I think it would be wise to consider adding this to your airdrop farming portfolio. It's a liquid staking protocol, and it's the largest liquid staking and largest decentralized finance protocol on Hyperliquid, period, with over $2.1 billion in deposits. If we look at the growth, it also has strong growth of 53.6% month over month growth, again, making it the largest DeFi protocol on Hyperliquid. And if we look at its trajectory since launching in July, we can see that it's had basically linear growth from a few hundred million to over 2 billion, just extremely quick rise to a multi-billion dollar level of deposits. And Kinetic, if you're not familiar, it's a liquid staking protocol, so you can deposit hype, earn liquid staking rewards on it, and oftentimes that tends to be the largest protocol on a given chain. And if you remember the Solana ecosystem, Jito, which was one of the most lucrative Solana airdrops, was the premier liquid staking app on Solana. So I think Kinetic is a solid way to get some airdrop farming exposure in Hyperliquid, provided you actually want to hold hype. Of course, with any of these projects, you're going to have to hold some sort of crypto or occasionally a stablecoin to get exposure. If you don't want that, then you're not going to be able to execute these strategies. Next up, we have an app called Unit. Unit lets you deposit assets from other ecosystems onto Hyperliquid, like Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. To farm this, the way to do it would be to actually deposit or withdraw assets, basically make swaps. You can see that the interface looks like this. If you choose to do this, just remember that although Our research on this channel shows that this is a well-used protocol. Bridges tend to be one of the riskier things in crypto. Next up, we have this app called Project X. This is a DEX on Hyperliquid with an ongoing points program, and points typically mean airdrops. And in this case, you earn points by generating fees through swaps or by providing liquidity. What we can see is your standard decentralized exchange where you can swap between tokens, or you can provide liquidity for other people that are swapping between tokens. If I wanted to farm airdrops with this, then one thing you might do would be to have some sort of schedule where you tried to repeatedly go in and swap some tokens. Just don't make it transparently wash trading, airdrop farming. A, because you are going to have to pay some sort of fee. B, because typically projects try to filter for that sort of thing. If you're swapping on Hyperliquid, you can do it organically through protocols like this that don't have a token. And if you hold some of these tokens that you can provide liquidity for here, then you can earn yield on them while earning points towards a future Project X airdrop. You can see, for example, there's a solid yield on pairing Bitcoin with Hype. That's the unit Bitcoin, or pairing Pump with Hype. There's very solid yield. So if you're interested in holding those tokens anyways, then you can earn yield and farm for an airdrop. A lot of this is just about taking the crypto that you already want to hold anyways and then multiplying it, right? You're taking something that you already want to invest in, and then the yield is just a way to get a leg up on the market. And airdrops are ultimately a form of yield, right? Don't get that wrong. Airdrops are a form of yield. It's just, rather than coming steadily over time, it comes in a deferred single chunk at a later point. All right, so let's get back to our list of airdrops. Another one that's interesting is Liminal. Liminal is tokenized delta neutral strategies on Hyperliquid. So you can deposit there to a delta neutral strategy. And the nice thing about delta neutral is you actually are not getting price exposure. You are just getting yield. I tend to not do too many of these because typically if I'm holding something in crypto, I want price exposure because the risk is there either way, right? The smart contract risk is there either way. I want the upside of a potential price appreciation. All right, so let's skip forward to some Ethena airdrops. So the most basic way is Ethena's Season 4 campaign is ongoing for a couple weeks longer. So you can earn their rewards points, which are called sats, and participating in their ecosystem earns bonus sats. Additionally, one way to earn airdrops in the Ethena ecosystem is if you hold and stake Ethena, then you can see that there are a number of protocols right now which are expected to give token allocations to Ethena holders. So you've got Ethereal, Derive, Echelon, Terminal, Strata. So hold and stake ENA to receive Ethena, then lock that Ethena to receive a 40x sats boost and 2x Ethereal points. So if you are bullish on the Ethena ecosystem and you want to hold the token, you could consider this, and you may find you earn some extra yield through that. Whether or not you want to hold the ENA token, you can also earn yield potentially earn airdrops. If you don't want to hold ENA, or even in addition to that, if you do, there are also a few protocols building on top of Ethena that you may consider getting exposure to right now. One of these is Ethereal. Ethereal is a spot and Perp DEX, and Ethereal is ultimately planning to be live on Ethena's own chain, Converge. In the meantime, you can deposit into it on Ethereum. You can see that it's accumulated hundreds of millions of dollars in deposits so far. And the way it works is you deposit USDE into Ethereal and you receive EUSDE receipt tokens, and you hold those to accumulate Ethereal points. As a bonus, you unlock the maximum 30x Ethena rewards multiplier on your deposit. So it's basically a straight up farm right now. Eventually, it's going to be a Perp DEX that taps into Ethena liquidity and is live on their chain, which will be purpose built for stablecoins. So I think you potentially tap into both the Perp DEX and stablecoin narrative here, as well as the growth of Ethena itself. So it could be an interesting thing to get exposure to, and you can do that again by depositing right now. Just understand that you are taking on some smart contract risk. Another interesting one is Strata. Strata offers structured products for Ethena powered assets. Currently it's in its Season 0 and they have a Strata points farm, which you can earn points for by depositing USDE or EUSDE and minting PUSDE. You can then earn bonus points by depositing that into Pendle, as you can with many of these things. So basically structured yield on Ethena, pretty much your standard yield farm, but potentially tapping into a strong Ethena narrative. By the way, if it's not clear, the reason why I'm focusing on these narratives is if you don't actually have a strong narrative and strong fundamentals behind a project, then the token, even if they do a well-executed airdrop, probably isn't going to be worth very much because tokens aren't just magically worth something, right? They're worth something because someone is willing to pay for them. And so in order for someone to be willing to pay for them, there actually has to be a narrative surrounding that. All right, so then the final one in the Ethena ecosystem that we're going to talk about is terminal finance. This is planning to be the liquidity hub for Converge. And currently they're running a bootstrapping phase called the Root Access Program, where early users pre-deposit assets and earn roots in addition to Ethena ecosystem points. You can deposit either the Ethena stablecoin USDE, Wrapped BTC, or Wrapped ETH over here on terminal finance. So if you're holding these things and you want to allocate some portion of it to earning yield, then a lot of these Ethena apps offer opportunity for that. All right, so then the final airdrop that I want to talk about for September is the number 2 Perp DEX. Now, as you know, if you watch this channel, I am a fan of Hyperliquid. I'm bullish on Hyperliquid. But if you want some other exposure to perps, then we can hop back over to top apps by perp volume. And we see this protocol, EdgeX, is number 2. Very strong growth. This past week was their second highest week ever with over $12 billion of perp volume. And they don't have a token yet, but they do have a points program. So if you potentially want to earn a future token allocation for the second largest perp DEX, then you can use EdgeX, and I'll have a affiliate link down in the description if you want to qualify for this and also support the channel. By the way, that goes for most of these projects out there. Let me know down in the comments if you're farming any of these airdrops or others. And if you want more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.